if you liked my little look back on last year's Slam Dunk Festival. So I didn't know which festivals I'd end up doing this summer due to health reasons and financial issues, but my pass for Slam Dunk has come through, and all going well, I will be at Hatfield on Sunday. This year is going to be spent a little differently to my normal, and I'm likely to be smelling of onions and peppers for the majority because I'm going to be on the Nomad stall, which is going to be in the guest area of the Hatfield site. So if you're at the Hatfield site and you have a guest pass, please come and see Si or me at the Nomad stall, and we'll serve you up a delicious vegan sub. Okay, plug over. So today I thought I'd hark back to past Slam Dunk festivals, a bit of a nostalgic look back. I hope it will get you fellow veterans to do the same, or entice you to come to a future Slam Dunk so you can make your own amazing memories too. So let's get cracking. Unfortunately, this is my only tangible evidence that I was at Slam Dunk 2011. I can't seem to find any photos or videos from that weekend. So let's zoom forward to 2012. This was the first year I interviewed Liam from Cancer Bats, and from that point onwards, I knew he'd be hard to top. I still think he might be my favourite person that I've met in the, do we call it alt these days, in the rock scene or interviews. He's just one of the nicest, most genuine, sweet, friendly people you ever meet, and it's always a pleasure to talk to him. And I wish everyone was more like Liam and the world would be a better place. An absolute delight to chat to. And yeah, this was the first of many interviews I've done with Liam. It's always nice to remember the first time that you meet someone that you think a lot of. So that weekend I also got to interview Every Time I Die, and that was the first, was that the first interview? No, I think that's the second interview I'd done with Keith actually, and they're always a pleasure to talk to as well. Obviously another incredible band that are frequently on the lineup for very obvious reasons, because they are an incredible live band. The energy is unrivaled. I mean, it's just an incredible live show. It's sweaty, it's rowdy, it's messy. It's everything you want from a live rock show, really. So always ensure, if they're on the bill, that you check them out. Old times again, and this is an era of my career where I had no idea how to use a microphone, and that you need to put it by people's mouths if you want to hear the voices. And I also had no idea how to export footage so it was of a high quality. So everything from that era looks like it was filmed in a steamy shower in some sort of sandstorm. It's just awful, which is such a shame because that was an era that I probably interviewed the most exciting people. Anyway, my defense is that when I was making films at uni, we were using video cameras that had actual tapes in. That's how old I am. Really old one of We Are the In Crowd. And again, I didn't realise that it's not actually good to have a big, you know, sun glare going on through the people. But anyway, you live and you learn. Now on to the notorious Def Havana interview. And I still get people come up to me and send me messages about this interview. What is it? 6 years on. So it made an impression. And I think this was actually the first time that I ever met the Def Havana boys, which is hard to believe. They made quite an impression, let's just say that. I believe they'd already been at a Slam Dunk, and this was their second one of the weekend, and they were quite lubricated, shall we say. And I was actually doing this interview for a culture website, but I think James managed to put in every swear word in the swear word dictionary in the interview, including the C word. It was quite hilarious, and watching it back, it's so funny to see me try and keep it together, try and bring it back to the music and do the serious questions, because obviously I had the PRs watching, the management, etc., and I wanted to look professional, but you can see that I try and then it just falls apart again. But despite the unprofessional nature of the interview, I look back on it fondly because I knew then that these were guys that were down to earth, they were real, they were polite despite being hammered, really lovely guys, and that I would always support them from this point onwards because they're just decent people and obviously very talented. It ended up going slightly viral by my standards anyway, and was even featured in their DVD documentary as well, so that's kind of cool. When I'm old, I'll look back on that and think, oh, maybe I wasn't as geeky as I thought. Actually, I was geeky and always will be, but you know what I mean.
It's the best interview ever. Okay.
Play gigs, you have no money, and they give you free alcohol. What do they want you to do?
It's a culture website. Can you believe it?
Look at this. What's that? Awful.
I like MXPX, leave me alone.
Nobody else does.
Thank you. Bye.
Don't watch us later. Oh, by the time this goes out, people have... Never mind.
For God's sake.
Then there was that year that I had to interview Cy, and we chatted before because he knew I was doing press and he was performing at the festival, and he said, "You're not interviewing me, I don't want to do that, it's too awkward, blah blah," and I said, "Fine, don't worry about it, we'll get some of the other members to do it," because I had to interview Young Guns. I can't remember why, but I did. So I was meant to be interviewing Gus and John, but the interview slot comes and John and Gus are nowhere to be found. I know I should probably be offended by that they scarpered, but you know what guys in bands are like. It ended up being Fraser and Cy, and you can just see from watching the interview that Cy is dying a little bit inside, hating life, hating me, and just wanting a hole to open up and swallow him. But we got through it. I understand it because we've had to do it before and it is awkward, and also it's weird for me asking questions that I know the answers to already and having to pretend I don't know the answers. So it always feels quite a weird thing to do, but I think it's quite funny to watch back and see us both finding it incredibly awkward. Fraser, thank you for holding it together for us.
So it's final day of Slam Dunk Festival. We're in Hatfield and I'm with Fraser and Cy from Young Guns. And Cy is hating every moment of this, can you tell?
He's loving it.
Absolutely.
He actually refused to do this, but John's not turned up. Where is John?
John is, yeah, long story short, John is getting food for everyone. So, you know, he's doing a nice thing, but...
Next up is an interview with Paris, and I know for hits and views and stuff, it's always good to interview a band when they're at their peak of fame and success, but I always like interviewing bands before things explode, like before their meteoric rise to fame, because you get to experience and interact with them when they're at that kind of excited, nervous, sometimes naive phase of their career. And it's also interesting to then observe their journey to success and look back at how they were when you first met them and how things have changed, how their confidence has grown perhaps, how their style has changed, all that sort of stuff. But I remember them being incredibly sweet, incredibly polite, almost shy as well, and but I always remember that also when the camera was off they were just as lovely as when it was on, and Lynn and I were having a chat, and I always think that says a lot about them, that they're not just nice people when, you know, they're on, they're just nice people all round, and I think that probably has helped them be, you know, the huge band they are today, because they're well liked, everyone likes them, they're just good people as well as incredibly talented. Now I have to be open and say that I'm not a huge pop punk fan. It's just never been my favourite genre, but when the sun's out, when it's summer, it just sounds so incredible. So festivals like Slam Dunk, I kind of change and I fully embrace pop punk music and really soak up the vibe that it creates in the sun. It's just perfect for sunny weather. It just sounds so good, and as do all the kind of Warped Tour style bands that are often on the Slam Dunk lineup. I guess it's also a case of kind of reveling in nostalgia. There'd be songs that maybe be in the car when we're having summer road trips, or that would just be on MTV2, MTV Rocks and all those channels when I was younger. So like last year, I went to see We the Kings, and I admit they're not a band I love or even listen to, but hearing Check Yes Juliet being sung by loads of happy people in the sun was just so infectious, and I loved it. And I can say the same for loads of pop punk bands that, you know, have those iconic songs that just sound amazing in that kind of environment. And this year, I imagine I'm just going to be lapping up the nostalgia with Good Charlotte. I think that's going to be such a feel-good show. The only problem is, rumour has it is that they're clashing with Jimmy Eat World. But I have seen Jimmy Eat World a number of times and Good Charlotte less, so I feel I'm probably going to go with the GC, but we'll see. Let me know what you're going to do with that clash. I worked at Cheer Up Clothing for a number of years, and that was made up of Ed, who is now in a band called Twin Wild, and Matt Barnes, who is in Unit 6. And so we did a lot of events over the years where we would bring, you know, the brand to music events. So Cheer Up Clothing had their own stage in 2014, so it was pretty exciting, you know, to see your company's name twinned with a stage featuring bands that you actually like. So that was a really fun year as well. And the year after it also had a stall where we were doing meet and greets with Matt and meeting some of the customers and just selling the clothes as well. So that was another different experience for me at Slam Dunk, working in a different capacity. One of my favourite things about festivals is when you realise a band has broken through to that next level of their career, that next phase, that next, I don't know, lineup category, I guess. And sometimes you see it through where they are positioned on the lineup. Sometimes it's through the amount of people they draw in. Sometimes it's just a feeling, like you can feel the buzz, you can feel the change, you can feel the shift. And I think last year I felt that with Enter Shikari. Obviously last year was a mega year for the band, and the Spark got great reviews, amazing response, and I really feel it just shifted them into a different category, a different level, and it's just really cool to witness that and feel that. I'm always excited to see what band it will be this year that you feel that change with. Who do you think it might be? Put your predictions below if you've got an inkling of who might, you know, steal the show a little bit or be a surprise favourite at Slam Dunk Festival. So Young Guns were playing the same stage at Panic at the Disco. I always go on this stage to try and get some shots of the crowd for them from their perspective, so they can see the faces, see what sort of response they were getting and feed that back to them after the show. By the way, don't go on stage if you're a music fan and watch a band that way. Sound quality is horrendous. If you really enjoy a band, the best place you can watch them is from the crowd. That's the best place in the house, so to speak. You're not missing out by not going side of stage. I can't reiterate that enough. It is awful. Plus you always feel like you're in the way, like a sound or tech guy will be like barging you out the way and making you feel that you're very inconvenient. So trust me, go and watch it from the crowd if, you know, your legs and your body can handle it. But when I was up there, I saw that the Panic at the Disco plectrums are all ready for their performance. And I had that kind of devil and angel on the shoulder moment where I was like, do I take a little memento home with me? But I'm a bit of a goody two-shoes, and I know it wouldn't have been hugely rebellious to take one, but in my head, I just imagined that I'd get caught. They'd tell Brendan Urie, and then Brendan Urie would hate me. He might tell the fandom, and then suddenly I'm blacklisted from any Panic at the Disco gig forever. That's how my mind works. Worst case scenario, always. So I didn't take one, but I got a picture of one, which isn't quite the same. Leading on to Panic at the Disco. So I loved them when their iconic A Fever You Can't Sweat Out came out. And in my school, they weren't the coolest band to like, actually. I know it's different in every school, but in my school, it wasn't that cool to like them. I've had a bit of an up and down journey with them. There are a few phases, a few albums that I was less interested in, and then he came back with Death of the Bachelor and the love was reignited, shall we say, and I just think he's so talented. I love how theatrical he is, I love his voice, I just think he's an incredible artist, and I absolutely loved watching him at Slam Dunk, and I love that shot that Corinne Cummings captured of him doing the backflip on stage, and it just was an amazingly fun gig. And if you haven't seen Panic at the Disco before, I'd very much recommend you see them next time down the lineup. Guaranteed dancing, guaranteed sing-alongs, usually some great covers as well, Bohemian Rhapsody being a particular favourite. Always super fun. I really hope you liked my personal trip down memory lane. If you have any questions about the festival, please put them in the comments below. If you want to know what bands I'm going to check out, if you want to know which food stall I'd recommend you checking out, any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to ask. And do let me know in the comments which site you're going to be at if you are going to Slam Dunk Festival. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing time if you are going, and if you haven't got a ticket, I hope you've already put it in your calendar for next year. Either see you there or in the next video, and have an amazing bank holiday weekend.